very good day to you all. My name is Brenda Candiero, and today I am going to be demonstrating, or I've got guys who are going to be demonstrating a very important aspect of broiler production. And not just broiler production, but even if you are gonna be placing layers or for your pig houses, and this is very important, is the success to every production that you're going to have starts from this. And yes, today we are going to be demonstrating about cleaning, right? I know it sounds very pertinent, but I would want to tell you today that every success comes from how clean your place has been. And yes, the cleaning has to be before a chick placement. So usually if you've got a newly built house, then probably you can just clean it and disinfect, that's fine. But then proper cleaning is very necessary in between flocks. So you have heard, remember, for our biosecurity, we always recommend an all-in, all-out way of doing your broiler production, especially for broilers. So you'll place your birds, and then after 35 or so days, you take them out all at once, right? Or rather, maybe probably not on the same day, but you wait for them to go out before your next placement. And this is what I would want to talk about and what I'm going to be showing you in this video. So it is very important that you've got a resting period in between flocks. So you place your flock, you take it out, and then you clean, you disinfect, you rest, you place in another flock, you rear it, take it out. So it's actually a cycle, and it goes on. And it is very important, the resting period, the cleaning, disinfecting, and resting period are very important, because these will break the cycle of any microorganisms. So because you have living birds, you have living organisms, microorganisms will also come. I'm talking about bacteria, virus, I'm talking about protozoa, and even other insects. And so what we don't want is the load from these microorganisms of the previous flock to be carried over to a new flock. It's very important to start your birds on a clean and safe place. And when I talk of safety, it has to be free or very minimal microorganisms, because if you carry over a bacteria or a viral load from the previous flock, which was older, to a new flock, these are day-old chicks that have a very weak or not fully developed immune system, and they are not as strong. So you then start to get first week mortalities, you know, or even sometimes you can start to get mortalities within the first 3 days. So then this will then affect your flock as it goes further. So the cleaning process that I'm just going to briefly show you and talk to you about is the cleaning, disinfecting, then the resting period is where you've done all that and there are no birds and you are resting, right? So the cleaning part is the first part. And remember, when you take out your birds, there is the litter, manure, and everything in the dust, and all this need to go. So the first thing that you do for your cleaning is what we call dry cleaning, right? And dry cleaning, this is whereby you are taking off all the litter. So you bag it off and you take it out. And then remember that probably you have manure on the sides. You can have manure stuck onto the floor. You need to scrub and scrape the floor. So this is the reason why we always recommend that you do your production on a slab and not directly onto the soil. So you need a slab because of ease of cleaning. So you do your dry cleaning, you remove all your manure, you scrape it off, and then it is also very necessary that you take it away. So when you bag it off, do not store it right next to the chicken house or just 2 meters away from the chicken house. Why? Because you cannot contain microorganisms. So the best thing is you take it away from the farm. So you will see even on our demonstration that the bags of manure were actually being carried to another farm where they are being used to feed cows, you know, and it's away from this place. If you keep the manure close to your place, it's going to cause viruses, bacteria from the manure to come into the new flock, and it will affect the new flock. So that is what we call dry cleaning, and it has to be properly done, and you remove all the material, right? And then when that is done, remember the cobwebs as well that come on the roof, on the fence, you dust it off. You remove the curtains, you wash them, you disinfect them, and you store them for the next flock. So it is also very important that you dust off all the cobwebs, and you dust all the fence, you dust everything off, and then you can do a final dry cleaning with a broom, where now you are taking off all the dust when it's clean. And all this has to be done before you put any water, and this is why we are calling it dry cleaning. I know people are so quick to want to wash with water, but for as long as there's still material, there's still manure, your washing is not going to be effective. So when you now move to the wet cleaning, where you are now applying the water, the first thing that you do is you soak your house. So you pour water with a detergent. We are using a detergent because this is going to clean the place. So you can't just use ordinary water. We need detergent to clean the dirt out, right? So you have done your dry cleaning. Now you move on, you soak. So you can soak maybe for 30 or an hour, for 30 minutes or an hour, right? And then you just leave it like that. And then this is when you come, now you start to scrub and to wash. And remember, when you are washing, you wash everything. You wash the fence, you wash the poles, you wash the roof, you wash the floors, and already the feeders are already out, the drinkers are already out, and remove any obstacles from your chicken house that may actually be blocking you from a thorough wash. So you wash with a detergent, and then after washing with the detergent, that is the wet clean, then you rinse. So now you have to rinse, and we always recommend, depending on your scale of production, if you've got a house where I'm standing in, this is a house with a capacity of 10,000 beds, so I'm probably thinking it's 100 meters this way and probably 10 meters this way. So you cannot do this with a bucket and a brush like you are doing to your bathroom. A thorough wash will need a high pressure washer, right? And the pressure in the water also just helps to those places where you couldn't reach with your brush. You know, the pressure washer can take care of that. So you need then to rinse off all the detergent, rinse off all the soap, and you make sure it's clean. Then when you have done that, now you need to let it dry. So you let it dry, depending on the weather, probably a day or so. And then when it's dry, this is now you then come in with your disinfectant. So the cleaning, which is in two parts, the wet, the dry and the wet, this is just removing dirt and organic matter. But remember, there is bacteria which is so minute or which is so small, and that you cannot kill with soap. And this is where you need now to come up with a disinfectant. It's not, now when you are disinfectant, there are so many ways of doing it. You can flood the place, you can also spray, and when it comes to disinfection, you are disinfecting everything. So you disinfect the floors, you disinfect the fences, outside, make sure the curtains that you have washed, you're also going to disinfect. You can even disinfect just outside the house, you know, just for you to make sure that the place is not, we cannot really say sterile, but you have minimized the number of bacteria. When it comes to diluting, even the detergent and the disinfectant, it is always important that you read the instructions, because number one, you don't want your mixture to be weak. You want it to be effective. So number one, you need to follow the directions of mixing, of diluting, because if you don't do that, then probably you will spend your money, buy chemicals, dilute them in a way that is not correct, you spray it, but it's not effective. So remember, we are dealing with killing bacteria, viruses, protozoans, all these things that are stubborn. And if your mixture is not correct, they may not, it may not be able to kill or to destroy these pathogens. So please always take note of that. Just for you to make sure that when the new chicks arrive, they are coming to a safe, clean environment with no bugs. So when you do that, when you have done that, then we recommend, so remember that you can clean your place, but if you don't measure how clean that place is, then you are not so sure. You may think that the cleaning has been effective, but if you don't do swabs, so swabs are very necessary. So you can go to labs where they can now do swabs for you. They come, they swab the house just for them to calculate or to see how much clean your place is. So swabbing will give you an indication of how clean your place is, right? And when you get your swab results back, so they will culture the swabs, they will culture the bacteria, they will tell you your place is 50% clean or it's 60% clean. And we've always recommended that if your results come and they are below 80%, you should do a rewash, and you also disinfect again. Because if they are telling you that your place is 50% clean, it's 50% dirty as well. So what is the risk that can come from that the other 50% that is not clean? So you need to redo it until you are happy and until you know that now your place is clean enough to receive the new set of birds. So once you get your swabs done, then you need to rest the place. This is very, very important. So people will say, okay, fine, I've washed, I've disinfected, tomorrow I'm going to place in new birds. You need to give your house or your farm a resting period, and this should be 14 to 21 days. What happens when you don't rest your place well? The bacterial load will continue to multiply. It will continue to grow up until the point when it catches up with you, and now you start to see retarded growth, you start to see so many diseases, so many mortalities in the first week, and this will just show you that probably it's now a dirty. So there's actually what we call a dirty farm syndrome, which then comes after placement of so many flocks and inefficient or inadequate cleaning, and then inadequate resting period. So you need now to rest your place, and when you rest your place, what we mean is you close the doors. You can bring the equipment back, the washed and disinfected equipment. You can bring it inside, you lock the doors. And once you do that, no one is supposed to come in. Why? Because if you allow people to come in, they are going to make the place dirty again. So resting is that time in between flocks when no one is coming into the place and you are not going to place any other birds. And it is a very important period in your broiler production cycle. It's as important as brooding, as important as disease management. And if you don't get it right, you will then start to see all these problems. So rest your place 14 to 21 days, and then you can place. So usually if you know that now you're gonna put bedding, probably remember when you start now to plan for the next placement, maybe 4 days before you put your bedding, we always recommend that after the resting period, then you come back, you can spray another disinfectant onto the bedding just before the chicks come. And so please just verify, just read the instructions, and also make sure that you are diluting correctly as you spray so that you don't affect the new birds coming. So just for me to sum it up for you before I finish is number one is that you have to take your birds all out, right? Don't leave birds in there. So you take your birds all out, that's when you can start to clean. And you start with dry cleaning, removal of manure, and then removal of or any bedding. And then number 2, you go to your wet cleaning, and remember to soak your house. And then number 3, that's when you disinfect with the disinfectant to kill all the pathogens that are inside. And then finally, you rest your chicken farm or your chicken house, and you rest it, and the time that you rest has to be enough to kill the cycle or to break the cycle from the older flock to the new flock. I hope you have all understood that the success of broiler production comes from the cleanliness of your place. If you've got a dirty place, then you will struggle with weights, you will struggle with livability of your birds. But if your place is clean, it's also a very safe environment for you and a safe environment for your flock. Remember, we do not want any contaminations, we do not want any carryovers from the older flock to the new flock. So I do hope that this demonstration has actually shown you how best you can do it. And it doesn't matter whether you've got 50 birds or you've got 50,000 birds. The process of cleaning, disinfecting, and resting is still the same. Thank you very much for your time, and I do hope that this has helped you as you go back to clean and disinfect and rest your chicken farms. From me, Brenda Candiero, and the ProFeeds Tech team. Bye.